understand what Manish wanted to do. He wanted to hide from oligarchs, or he wanted to, plan something for Olympians. But Gopu, with that would better shot onto Puneet, he will, of course, get that advantage. Now, Harsh also receiving a lot of damage. Looks like Olympians have made their move and definitely will get the better of them. With an elimination coming in, 6 elimination points for Olympians. And again, they have found themselves their elimination points grips, which we saw in the last game. Default is sitting in silently with the tactical market on. He knows that he needs to revive his teammates. But we're talking about Olympians. Last time we saw them in a similar kind of situation. They could not control the game, or maybe they could not end up the game with a booyah.
Hey, at least Olympians have recovered from that one. At one point, they were getting pressured by 2 different teams, and now they've managed to not only get all of the players back online, but also almost eliminate 4AM, because they are down to their last player. And 4AM won't be having the opportunity to climb down from that factory rooftop and then go towards any of these vending machines or record towers to get their players back up. Default will have to be extremely sneaky if he wants to get the players rest.
Okay. Godlike was eliminated. I mean, this was a little unexpected. I mean, by the way, everything is turning out in this map with no fights happening, no clashes being taken, and also GG Instinct was the first one to be eliminated, where, we were watching a different fight between Aura Esports and Blackbirds. Now, this time it is Godlike who's being eliminated. Of mixed energies in this map. Let's see how this ends up, right? Because a lot of teams need this game to turn into their favor, but look at GYAN Gaming. Put in some blue walls, wanting to take down Aura Esports, insane. He's in a cocoon, he's stuck. He needs to move around at least so that he can create value. He has that M590 in his hand. He needs that first point of contact. Who will it be is the question. Something gets taken out. Now comes Shubo's dash, and he gets one more. He gets inside the time turner, revives his teammate, and also will heal himself up. Arup comes in for the survive. But there's Yuvraj who's waiting. Yuvraj is the last man surviving. He gets taken out, and so does Aura Esports. A pretty simple, execution coming in from GYAN Gaming. Retaliation was shown by Aura Esports, but it was not that valiant enough. They could stop GYAN Gaming.
Amazing stuff from GYAN Gaming as they continue to plunder and plow through every team. Aura Esports out, and this could very well be the end of the road for them because they desperately needed those elimination points. So Aura Esports is out. Somehow Godlike Esports was also eliminated by GYAN Gaming in this very same spot. So that means by the time GG were then eliminated,
of the place where they might just end up qualifying for the next round.
Yeah, and they really needed this one. I mean, Olympians have to get this man to safety so that he can get the res again. I mean, the fact that you managed to eliminate GYAN Gaming itself is a very big deal, because keep in mind, GYAN Gaming have already eliminated Godlike and Aura Esports as well as Blackbird. So, yeah, this is a very difficult fight to go up against. Who just managed to get the revive onto all of his players, and now all of them are down again before they even make landfall.
Exactly, and Olympians have capitalized onto it. We are still not sure about who are qualifying at what place. This is the most unpredictable group to be, right, Chris, in a position where nobody have actually solidified the positioning towards the bottom end. This is where things are going to get spicier. TW Live still survives. So does Oligarchs. The Headhunters have eliminated Olympians at the 5th position. They still got some good amount of elimination points, but we have entered towards the last few ends of this lobby where Headhunters, GW-MANISH, TW Live, and Oligarchs survive. While I was saying that, GW-MANISH got eliminated, Chris.
And now it's down to the final 3 teams. Headhunters, DW Live, and Oligarchs. Oligarchs have done really well to go from the L shape to the double balcony house, but now they will have to abandon that spot. Meanwhile, Headhunters recognize that they don't have the best spot either, so it's in their best interest to eliminate DW Live as quickly as possible. Oh my god, the Nero plushie actually helps him get the knock. They try to revive them again, but here comes another Nero plushie, this time from Oligarchs. And the barrage of bullets upon DW Live is just insane. Both Headhunters as well as Oligarchs focusing on DW Live. At least Arsh has been able to land that shot onto Bully and get the confirmation as well. But eventually, it will be Oligarchs who land the final blow and get DW Live out of this game. 4 versus 4. Can Headhunters get their second booyah of the day? Because Oligarchs really need to get into this fray and take this day for themselves. Kingston, Django, both of them splitting up. Django might just get isolated over here, and Arsh recognizes the opportunity, instantly pouncing upon him. Kingston desperately trying to cover Django, but there's no more cover to be had, and Arsh will pump his guts full of lead with that shotgun once again. Goku dives in for the trade, Kingston following him right behind, but Roshan covers Arsh, and these shotguns are singing the songs of death. Headhunters get their second booyah.
What a calculation coming in from Headhunters. The way they created this fight, the execution was picture perfect with those 2 members going ahead. Once again, it was Arsh who draws the first blood in such kind of situation. He's always the first line of defense for this team, and Headhunters has turned out to be such an amazing team and a treat to watch, because they have got their second booyah. Imagining at the beginning of this Group C have turned out where one team, GG Instinct, gets 3 booyahs in a day, and here comes Headhunters with 2 booyahs. Imagine the level of domination these 2 teams have put inside this lobby.
Exactly. Oligarchs and DW Live.
Unfortunately missing out on the second last map. They were still there in the 3rd positioning. But how does that matter? Because they've ended up with 19 elimination points, and the total becomes as 31 clips. An amazing game to end the group stage. when he has that ability tracker on.
Yeah. And XD9 use that narrow ability so well. I mean, most people use the narrow to flush enemies out of cover. This time when he used that narrow ability onto, I believe it was Oligarchs in the last fight? No. Who was the last one? GW Live. When he used it on GW Live, it resulted in 2 knocks. I've never seen someone get 2 knocks with a narrow plushie. I mean, that's just insane.
Absolutely. Look at the stats. Of course, Arsh with 9 elimination points, but then he was supported. He was backed up by Roshan. And you remember the last moment of the fight, right?
Now let's take a look at their movements because Headhunters had a very slow start with that drop in Sentosa. They clashed against GW-MANISH, but look at how they are chasing GW-MANISH to the ends of the earth, right? And they stayed outside the zone hoping to hunt them down again and again and again until they decided, all right, let's just play our own game. And then you have Headhunters taking the northwestern sector. They destroy so many teams alongside that periphery to claim that side of the circle for themselves. And once they know that nobody can backstab them or poke them from the sides, they can focus all their attention onto the Oligarchs and GW Live.
Yeah, you can see this is a very opposite way how this map turned out to be the first circle, where we see the maximum number of eliminations. This time it was on the lower end, where only we saw 2 squad wipes. It was Identicals and GG Instincts, and it was pretty much unusual where GG Instincts, usually they are the most calm and composed team. They know how to handle these kind of situations, which they have done so well, right? With 3 booyahs. The last time we saw a team with 3 booyahs, they choked everybody out of the lobby.
Yeah, it does feel like they are choking everybody else out of the lobby, doesn't it? They just slowly extend their grasp around their opponent's throats and start closing in from the sides until the opponent starts gasping for air. And when I mean air, I obviously mean it as a rhetoric. I obviously mean it as a metaphor for their resources, for their time and their effort, because every time an opponent manages to either eliminate a different team or get their players revived again, Headhunters just put that effort down into the ground and then stomp on it again. So that's definitely Headhunters doing really well with that second booyah. But now, the actual question of the hour. Who is going to make it to the next stage, ladies and gentlemen? The teams have to get inside the top 9 if they want to go into the week 2 of the group stage. And here are those teams. It's Headhunters, Godlike, GW-MANISH, GG, Instinct, GYAN Gaming, Olympians, DW Live, Oligarchs, and Blackbirds making it into the second week of the group stage.
Ooh, Crips, I was pretty much tense about Oligarchs and Blackbirds because they got eliminated, but they still managed to get those elimination points, which definitely helped them. DW Live, imagine they started off with 0 points in the first game and got 66 in the last 5. That shows domination, just shows control over their game, and this time they managed to end up in the top 36. So congratulations to all these teams alongside Olympians as well, who we were so much concerned about. And what are they actually doing? Is this the Olympians? We actually know because we have seen them on land. We have seen them in the whole season of TEZ FFMIC 2025, and coming in with experience where all the rest of the 3 groups have performed. They had the maximum amount of time to prepare. We thought that why and how did they come in so unprepared? Right, Crips?
Yeah, I don't know about their preparation or the lack of it, but there are clearly some problems that needed to be fixed with And out of those 36 teams, only 18 will make it to the knockout stage. Keep in mind that the prize pool is locked behind the knockout stage. That means if the teams manage to go from 36 into the top 18, they will get a minimum guaranteed payout of 77,500 rupees. And that's their goal for week number 2. Get into the knockout stage and be in the upper half, because half of these teams will say goodbye to us by the end of next week.
Yeah, the audience might be thinking, Chris, that why are casters still talking? There is a surprise, of course, planned for you guys, and the way TEZ FFMIC Spring 2026 have turned out to be for us, you can understand the way I think more things are planned for you. As we mentioned, the city qualifiers, it was a very big surprise where 144 teams were given the opportunity in each city, and only one team from each of these cities could make their way towards the group stages. That was a direct entry, so you can just understand what these teams could have given or maybe produced in a fashion when they already showcased with the 100% strike rate. And the wait is for the overall 36 teams, right, which we will see in the next week of the group stages, where the real slicing and dicing starts with.
The slicing and dicing will be so much more intense than it was in this week, because over here there were at least still some teams who were basically talent fodder for everybody else. There were some teams who were basically getting destroyed by the top tier teams in the lobby, and we knew that was going to happen, right? Especially in the group stages, there will be some teams who are very, very talented, and there will be some teams who are playing in such a high tier lobby for the first time. But that is to be expected, and honestly, it's a very good learning opportunity for all the teams who have made it from the FFC mode into this one. So maybe they can use that as a learning experience. But for now, it is time to celebrate the teams that have made it into the week number 2. It's
But here comes Team X with 118 points. Then comes UGX GRP with 116. Then is Headhunters. You see all these teams making their way from FFC mode or from the city qualifiers, and some invited teams. So you can understand all these teams mixed up and create this top 36 list. Then comes at 5th position RNX Esports, Godlike Esports, Haiku Total Gaming, Jutsu Gaming, Arise Esports, Meta Ninja at the 10th spot, and 11th and 12th followed up with Autobots and K9 Esports Clips.
Autobots and K9 Esports, they have done really well for themselves. But what's even more important is that all the teams who were in groups C and D have been able to get on the top 2 pages. Like, there's very few teams over here in Group C which are in the bottom 25. Like, there's only Reaganverse on the 3rd slide over here with 74 points. And NXT Esports. Those are the only 2 teams who have kind of struggled and made it across, which kind of tells you how competitive all these groups were. A lot of the teams from Group T are between the 25th to the 36th spots. Of course, Blackbirds being dead last tied with Team Legacy at 49 points each. So you can see the clear disparity between all these groups. We called Group C the group of death. We called Group D the group of destruction. But take a look at who the top 3 teams are. All 3 of them from group number B.
Yeah, this shows that they were the ones who dominated the whole of group stages, to be fair. Now we can see that, as seeing the fact that the numbers they have stacked up in Group B. And with that being said, they only played 6 matches. All of these teams only got 6 matches. You can understand, or maybe you can just expect what to come more from the next few weeks, because the game numbers aren't going to increase. They're still going to be same, and the pressure is just going to get much more on the higher end, where only half of the lobby will get the chance to qualify for the knockout stages, as we have already mentioned about that. And there will be the most interesting phases which we will witness from the next week actually.
Yeah, next week is definitely going to be much more interesting. Especially for all these teams who are in the top 10 right now, all the teams in the top 10 managed to get above 100 points, clearly marking the distinction between a tier 1 and a tier 2 team. But some of these teams had a much easier path into this tournament. Like teams in Group B, SXUL Elite, Team X and UGX GRP, they absolutely dominated their groups to the extent where all the other teams in Group B who managed to qualify had to do it by getting at least like 60 points. So the cutoffs were also very, very different from all these groups. Next week, though, it's going to get even more intense. Because right now, your only objective was to not be in the bottom 3. Correct. You just don't have to be in the bottom 25%. Next week, it's about the bottom 50%, ladies and gentlemen. Only half of these teams will make it to the knockout stage. And a lot of these results will be determined by which group they end up in. So let's check out which teams these teams will end up in.
Yeah, here comes the Group A, B, and C. We start off SHL Elite, Team X, and UGX GRP, just showcasing that the top 3 teams have been placed in a different manner. Then comes GODLIKE Esports and iQOO Total Game also landing up on the same group where GODLIKE and SHL Elite is. Chris, you can understand what kind of a storyline that group is going to create.
Bro, Group A is looking so stacked over here. You got SHUL, GODLIKE, Total Gaming, K9 Esports, GYAN Gaming, and GODLIKE all over here. Holy, that is a stacked group, bro. Group A is looking too good right now. And then on the other hand, in Group B, you've got so many underdogs. RNX and Zutsu Gaming, I can't really call them underdogs. They have been in some very good top-tier tournaments, but they never won a trophy. This could finally be their time to shine. Same with Team Hind and GG Instinct. These teams were very, very smart. And on the polar opposite end, you got teams like Fire Eyes and Skull Esports who were extremely